Hey guys, oh man, I think we missed most of the storm. There was a really good storm. I'm just gonna let the sounds of the barn take you away um, for a couple minutes while I figure out what I'm gonna do today. Hey guys, Daddy Jesus here, Bible study. Sorry, this is an old one. I'm just figuring out if this is the song I want to play. Bible study. But you know what's been lacking is the fun and frivolity of it all. So I brought the speakers back out. Yeah, that's the song I want. Okay, what is that song? Oh God, here we go. All right, couple minutes. Happy Sunday. How's it going? It's Dirty Jesus. The phone lines are open. 1-866-10-6663. You can call. So I think a lot of people are really proud today. I know people have been proud for a while, and pride is, if you are Catholic, pride is a sin. But today is a day in a number of important centers of urbanity where a type of person who is now accepted in our society, who for religious reasons stemming a lot from the Bible have not been allowed to be as outwardly proud as they currently are. And this pride comes with an acknowledgement of requisites, past shame and past admonishment by the power structures that be within religion that said you can't be who you are, because who you are is not correct in the eyes of God as interpreted by the many people who interpreted the Bible. So that is to say, I was thinking that it might be fun to read the Bible's parts. I found a couple websites that had specific Bible verses that people who are not proud of those people who are exhibiting pride, that they use to try to curry favor to keep their pride down, to ensure that their children don't become proud the way these people become proud, because they believe that it is a matter of heaven or hell whether or not they exhibit pride in the way that they do, in the way that they choose to share their love and their bodies and their time on this earth. A lot of this is not a live and let live situation. This is you are condemning the entirety of the world to, the worst episodes of Glee, which is most of them. Everything has become a show tune, they say. Everything is perverted. The people who run Hollywood are monstrosities in the eyes of the Lord. They say. So Genesis 18:19, around there's this whole notion of Sodom and Gomorrah. So perhaps we could give that a gander. Can I read without my glasses on? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I am not proud of my eyesight, but I just don't know where to start. Like, because I think it's all about context. Okay, so we'll start Genesis 18. We'll just crush through this. We'll see how it goes. But the phone, if you are proud, if you are proud of just yourself for any reason, it doesn't have to be, genitalia, gender, anything. It doesn't have to be based on anything that the Bible would otherwise like to suggest that you shouldn't be proud about. You can just give me a call, 1-866-10-663. Maybe I will tell Twitter I'm on. No, I don't care. So Genesis 18, the Lord appeared to Abraham by the oaks of Mamre as he sat at the entrance of his tent in the hot heat of the day. He looked up and saw 3 men standing near him. When he saw them, he ran from the tent entrance to meet them and bowed down to the ground. He said, "My Lord, if I find favor with you, do not pass by your servant. Let a little water be brought and wash your feet and rest yourselves under the tree." Okay. "Let me bring a little bread that you may refresh yourselves, and after you may pass on, since you have come to your servant." So they said, "Do as you have said." And Abraham hastened into the tent to Sarah and said, "Make cakes and stuff." Then he took curds and he gave them under the tree while they ate. Then they said to him, "Where is your wife Sarah?" And he said, "There in the tent." Then one said, "I will surely return you in due season, and your wife Sarah shall have a son." And Sarah was listening at the tent entrance behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in age. It had ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. It had ceased to be with Sarah. I don't know what's going on. So Sarah laughed to herself, saying, "After I have grown old and my husband is old, shall I have pleasure?" The Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Shall I indeed bear a child now that I am old?' Is anything too wonderful for the Lord? At the set time I will return to you in due season, and Sarah shall have a son." But Sarah denied, saying, "I did not laugh," for she was afraid. He said, "Oh, yes, you did laugh." "Oh, yes, you did." Then the men set out from there. I don't know who these men are. And they looked toward Sodom. Okay, there we go. They looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to set them on their way. The Lord said, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Seeing that Abraham shall become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him?" God considers. "No, for I have chosen him that he may charge his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing righteousness and justice." Oh my God, get out of my face. So that the Lord may bring about for Abraham what he has promised him. Then the Lord said, "How great is the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah, and how very grave their sin. I must go down and see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry that has come to me, and if not, I will know." So the men turned from there and went toward Sodom, while Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham came near and said, "Will you indeed sweep away the righteous with the wicked, even though you promised you wouldn't?" God, suppose there are 50 righteous within the city. Will you then sweep away the place and not forgive it for the 50 righteous who are in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to slay the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous fare as the wicked. Far be that from you. Shall not the judge of all the earth do what is just? And the Lord said, "If I find at Sodom 50 righteous in the city, I will forgive the whole place for their sake." Abraham answered, "Let me take it upon myself to speak to the Lord. I who am but dust and ashes. I who am but dust and ashes. Suppose 5 of the 50 righteous are lacking. Will you destroy the whole city for lack of 5? Oh, so 45. Okay, got it. And he said, I will not destroy it if I find 45 there. It's very important to negotiate with God, apparently. Again, he spoke to him. Oh, God, here we go. Suppose 40. Suppose 40 are found there. He answered, for the sake of 40, I will not do it. Then he said, oh, do not let the Lord be angry if I speak. Suppose 30 are found there. He answered, I will not do it if I find 30 there. Do you know the Price is Right game where you're trying to like match the number perfectly? Like what, or negotiation tactics, best alternative to no agreement. What is God's line in the holy sand where he will, still destroy a few righteous to eliminate the endemic wickedness going on in this town of Sodom. Suppose 20, let me take it upon myself to speak to the Lord. Suppose 20 are found there, he answered, for the sake of 20 I will not do it. Then he said, oh, do not let the Lord be angry if I speak just once more. Suppose 10 are found there. He answered, for the sake of 10 I will not destroy it. And the Lord went his way when he had finished speaking to Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. So we know that the golden number is 9. If there are 9 righteous people, he is still going to destroy the entire place. And what we have to wonder is that because that was God's secret number? Think of a number between 1 wicked and 10 wickeds. Or if it's just because Abraham decided that he was probably pressing his luck, continuing to play the numbers game with God. The 2 angels came. We're now at Genesis 19. For those reading along, please call me 1-866-10-666-3. Are you wicked, or are you righteous? Would God, if you were at the Pride Parade today, and you were, not even questioning whether or not you might want to join the parade and start marching, but you were just there as an observer, a non-judgmental observer, and then this was the time when God came down to smote the wicked in this context only. Would you be saved? Would you not want to be saved? Are pride parties so much fun that it is worth being smoten? In fact, there could be pleasure derived in a heavenly smitery. You never know until you try it. Just have a safe word. Always have a safe word with God. You should be fine, I think. I think God respects, God must respect safe words. Really, a safe word is just like a covenant. It's like a bodily, physical covenant. Genesis 19. The 2 angels came to Hussein, came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. He said, please, my lords, turn aside to your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet. Then you can rise early and go on your way. They said, no, we will spend the night in the square. But he urged them strongly, so they turned aside to him and entered his house. And he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. But before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both young and old, all the people to the last man, surrounded the house, and they called to Lot. Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, so that we may know them. Lot went out of the door to the men, shut the door after him, and said, I beg you, my brothers, do not act so wickedly. Look, I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. Let me bring them out to you, and do to them as you please. Only do nothing to these men, for they have come under the shelter of my roof. But they replied, stand back. And they said, "This fellow came here as an alien, and he would play the judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with them." Then they pressed hard against the man Lot, and came near the door to break it down. But the men inside reached out their hands and brought Lot into the house with them, and shut the door. And they struck with blindness the men who were at the door of the house, both small and great, so that they were unable to find the door. Then the men said to Lot, "Have you anyone else here?" These blind men. "Have you anyone else here? Sons-in-law, sons, daughters, or anyone you have in the city? Bring them out of this place. For we are about to destroy this place, because the outcry..." Oh, sorry, the men in this... Sorry, this isn't the crazy men. These are the angels. "Have you anyone else here? Sons-in-law, sons, daughters, or anyone you have in the city? Bring them out of the place. For we are about to destroy this place, because the outcry against its people has become great before the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it." So hold on. Angels, if you remove the righteous people, then you're going to screw up the numbers that Abraham had agreed with God about, and you're going to ensure its wicked decimation. So Lot went out and said to his sons-in-law who were to marry his daughters, "Up, get out of this place, for the Lord is about to destroy the city." But he seemed to his son-in-laws to be jesting. Nobody believes. When morning dawned, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Get up, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, or else you will be consumed in the punishment of the city." But he lingered, so the men seized him and his wife and his 2 daughters by the hand, the Lord being merciful to him, and they brought him out and left him outside the city. When they had when they had brought them outside, they said, "Flee for your life. Do not look back or stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the hills, or else you will be consumed." And Lot said to them, "Oh no, my lords, your servant has found favor with you, and you have shown me great kindness in saving my life, but I cannot flee to the hills, for fear the disaster will overtake me and I die. Look, that city is near enough to flee to, and it is a little one. Let me escape there. Is it not a little one, and my life will be saved?" He said to him, "Very well, I grant you this favor too, and will not overthrow the city of which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, for I can do nothing until you arrive." Therefore the city was called Zor. The sun had risen on the earth when Lot came to Zor. God damn it, what's going on here? Then the Lord rained on Sodom and Gomorrah sulfur and fire from the Lord out of heaven, and he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and what grew on the ground. But Lot's wife behind him looked back, and she became a pillar of salt, which I hope they brought with them and used to, properly preserve meat. Just because she turned to salt doesn't mean she doesn't still serve a purpose. Abraham went early in the morning to the place where he had stood before the Lord, and he looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the plain, and saw the smoke of the land going up like the smoke of a furnace. So he gets to look back. She's not allowed to look back? Whatever. So it was that when God destroyed the cities of the plain, God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot had settled. Now, Lot went, we're going to read this part too. Now, Lot went up out of Zor and settled in the hills with his 2 daughters, for he was afraid to stay in Zor, so he lived in a cave with his 2 daughters. The 2 daughters, we can assume, who had not seen a man, who he attempted to sort of satiatedly prostitute. Whatever. And the firstborn said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is not a man on earth to come into us after the manner of all the world." I think to come into us is sexual. "Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, so that we may preserve offspring through our father." Uh-oh. So they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father. He did not know when she lay down or when she rose, for he was so drunk. On the next day, The firstborn said to the younger, "Look, I lay last night with my father. Let us make him drink wine tonight also. Then you go in and lie with him, so that we may preserve offspring through our father." So they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger rose and lay with him, and he did not know when she lay down or when she rose. Thus, both the daughters of Lot became pregnant by their father. The firstborn bore a son and named him Moab. He is the ancestor of the Moabites to this day. The younger also bore a son and named him Ben-Ami. He is the ancestor of the Ammonites to this day. What to think? What to think? What to do? What do you guys think? What do you 1-866-610-6663? What do you think about this wickedness, this incestuosity in which we find ourselves? So that taboo is okay. That taboo became a lineage. Who are the Gomorrites? Who, like the Sodomites, but Sodom and Gomorrah? Who were the people who hung out in Gomorrah? I wonder. I don't know. I don't know anything about anything apparently. So of this, so I feel like the concern that comes from the more conservative Christian sect who would wave, especially the like guys trying to have sex with the visiting angels, trying to bust down Lot's house and get into them, come into them, so that they do not know when they lay and when they woke. I guess the concern that they're exhibiting would be that, does societal permissiveness put us in a place where we are in a very large Sodom that will be recipient of fire and sulfur from the Lord? And maybe these conservative people see the, climactic change that is coming with, increasing global temperatures. Maybe they see that not as an indication of man-made climate alteration, a climate hemming the pants of climate, but as God's retribution for a broader global permissiveness towards wicked conduct as described in the very antiquated and very ridiculous book of Genesis. So that's possible. I'm just trying to go both ways. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to be bi-religious. I'm trying to see it from the perspective of those who can't abide the change that is occurring in our world today, where we now have large parades, and I'll bring up like and enshrined rights towards people of the disposition towards loving someone. It doesn't even need to be the same gender. Like it's I think the more interesting thing going on right now is that like all gender, all strictures and regulations that were held for so long are off the table. But as we continued to read, after the destruction of the wickedness of the Ibiza-esque party town of Saddam Hussein, like literally the next thing that happens is incest. But their logic is that, dad's pretty awesome, and we're living in a cave, and we're probably not going to have a chance to preserve his awesomeness otherwise. So I don't know, the incest taboo is not legitimately ordained within our animal bodies. It was, from my understanding, more of like a socioeconomic decision, like not wanting to give, when using women as cattle, wanting to give women to other groups of people to, generate greater propensity towards trade because there's bloodlines connected, or for defense, mutual protection. So I think like that is probably the only reason why it was determined that it's not good to sleep with your own. And then there's possibly the whole genetic like maladaptation thing, but I'm no scientist. I don't know anything about that. All I know is that, like, the one guy and his family determined to be righteous, who is saved from this destruction of Sodom, is then immediately involved because of his, family, who probably have a little bit of, did they have wicked in their hearts? I don't know. Like, they got him drunk. Is that appropriate? Is that appropriate that they got their dad drunk to sleep with him? Like, maybe the more appropriate way to go about this would have been to ask nicely and lovingly, and maybe have someone do like proto pornography, like do cave drawings of it or something, just to truly preserve what is the beginning of the Moabites and the Ammonites offspring. Just seems like there is, just after God went and cleaned it all up, it's like something dirty starts happening again. So that would be my interpretation of why it's totally cool to have the pride parades, is that no matter how much you try, God, to purge us of our wickedness, that you created us in your own image, and that you are sort of like wicked by design as well. You know it. Don't get me started, God. So that was Genesis. Oh, Lord. Oh, I guess I haven't been going for that long. We had the barnstorm first. Boo, 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 boom. Boo, 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 boom. Okay. So okay, we'll stay in the Old Testament, maybe. Okay, so we're in Leviticus, and Leviticus is... Here, all right, shift shit up for a second. Ooh. Okay. This is more like, well, what's the camera doing over there? Come here. All right. Ow. Okay, so Leviticus is where a lot of the laws are laid down, like the very specific things and ways that people are supposed to act on this earth to receive the favor of God, right? So we'll read Leviticus 18, and within Leviticus 18 there is a relevant one to our topic of Why so prideful? And is it going to impact your chances of heavenly splendor because you have chosen earthly splendor, but with a dash of abomination, possibly? Okay, Leviticus 18. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the people of Israel and say to them, I am the Lord your God. You shall not do as they do in the land of Egypt, where you lived, and you shall not do as they do in the land of Canaan, to which I am bringing you. You shall not follow their statutes. My ordinances you shall observe, and my statutes you shall keep, following them. I am the Lord your God. You shall keep my statutes and my ordinances. By doing so one shall live. I am the Lord." Lord, Lord, Lord. None of you shall approach anyone near of kin to uncover nakedness. I am the Lord. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father, which is the nakedness of your mother. She is your mother. You shall not uncover her nakedness. See, like Lot, God damn it. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's wife. It is the nakedness of your father. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your sister, your father's daughter, or your mother's daughter, whether born at home or born abroad. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your son's daughter or of your daughter's daughter, for their nakedness is your own nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's wife's daughter, begotten by your father, since she is your sister. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's sister. She is your father's flesh. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister, for she is your mother's flesh. I am so lost. You shall not, it seems like it's pretty clear. Like, the specifics are very confusing, but generally speaking, let people keep their clothes. Like, do not disrobe anybody without their consent and without asking if any of the very complex fathers, sisters, brothers, mothers, I'm my own grandpa situation is occurring. For I am the Lord, and these are my statutes. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister, for she is your mother's flesh. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's brother. That is, you shall not approach his wife. She is your aunt. So it's like the wedded people become one. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your daughter-in-law. She is your son's wife. You shall not uncover her nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your brother's wife. It is your brother's nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter. Why not? And you shall not, just a woman and her daughter, even if they're not related at all. Okay. You shall not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter, and you shall not take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness. They are your flesh. It is depravity. And you shall not take a woman as a rival to his sister. And you shall not take a woman as a rival to her sister, uncovering her nakedness while her sister is still alive. I have no idea what that one means. You shall not approach a woman to uncover her nakedness while she is in her menstrual uncleanness. You shall not have sexual relations with your kinsman's wife and defile yourself with her. You shall not give any of your offspring to sacrifice them to Moloch, and so profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. You shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination. You shall not have sexual relations with any animal and defile yourself with it, nor shall any woman give herself to an animal to have sexual relations with it. It is perversion. Do not defile yourselves in any of these ways, for by all these practices the nations I am casting out before you have defiled themselves. Thus the land became defiled, and I punished it for its iniquity. And the land vomited out its inhabitants. But you shall keep my statutes and my ordinances, and commit none of these abominations, either the citizen or the alien who resides among you. For the inhabitants of the land who were before you committed all of these abominations, and the land became defiled. Otherwise, the land will vomit you out for defiling it, as it vomited out the nation that was before you. For whoever commits any of these abominations shall be cut off from their people. So keep my charge not to commit any of these abominations that were done before you, and not to defile yourselves by them. I am the Lord your God. So, I think what, the goal here is to look at anti-gay Bible scriptures in the context, as in like the chapter, however much I can stomach to read, of all the repetition and all the confusion of how they were placed, and how by taking something biblical out of context, you prove your point to the converted masses already, but you potentially produce an abomination of your argument. And I think what's relevant here is that of all of Leviticus 18, there's only one sentence that pertains to lying with a man as you lie with a woman, and that being an abomination. Everything else is pretty clear and particular about the various ways that the heteronormative can also be an abomination, and not disrobing your kin without asking consent or confirming that they're not too directly related to you, because that's like, uncovering your own flesh, which is bad. I don't know. But I'm going to interpret this shit a little differently. You shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination. Okay. Well, it's hard to do that. Like, a male isn't a woman. So you lie with a male as if they were a male, not as if they were a woman, because they're not a woman. Now, I don't know, are there any passages from the Bible that pertain to transgenderism? There was, there must be, well, there's tons, but I'll just reference Tiresias. Tiresias was a very fantastic Greek character who exhibited both male and female characteristics, and Zeus challenged him to figure out who enjoyed sex better, men or women. And so Tiresias did his research like a good Tiresias would, and his conclusion was that women enjoyed sex like tenfold more than men. And then Zeus got pissy about that and then blinded him, and so then he spent the rest of his life wandering around as this transgendered blind person. But he did figure out the answer. So there's tons of stuff we shall not do that people do to defile the earth. And now these directives, first of all, like goofball conservative Christians, I would like to remind you that these regulations are not meant for you. You have a different set of laws that you break regularly. That you have the New Testament. You have the New Testament covenant, which has nothing to do with these regulations, which are specifically pertaining to the Jewish people, the Abraham Lama Ding Dongs, as they needed to figure out a way to continue to persist without a homeland. So these were very strict ways to ensure that they did not fall into the defilement that was going to be surrounding them in Canaan, in Egypt, and wherever they would have to go, until, they got this like Israel place, and we see how that's gone. Yeah, so whatever. So that's not like okay. So I think everything we've read so far suggests that everyone should be having an utterly prideful pride. Like, just let it loose. Just let it loose. What am I trying to do here? Okay. Maybe if people are thoroughly enjoying my interpretation of Scripture, I can continue with more later. But for right now, I'm just going to read one more chunk of Leviticus. Before I stop. So this is Leviticus 20. We're going to read the whole thing here as well. For the one sentence, apparently, that the anti-pride people themselves, very prideful in and of their own right, for their own purposes, believing that they are connected to God, which is possible heresy as well. Don't be so presumptuous. You have no idea if you are, about to be consumed by sulfur and fire. You have no idea. Judge not, lest the judge declare a mistrial. Leviticus 20. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Say further to the people of Israel, hold on, I'm going to go back. You shall not cheat in measuring length, weight, or quantity. You shall have honest balances, honest weights, an honest ephah, whatever, and an honest hin, whatever that is. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt. You shall keep all my statutes and ordinances and observe them. I am the Lord." You dirty number squelchers. It's in here that you're not supposed to be disingenuous with regard to numbers. Okay, whatever. The Lord spoke to Moses, 20, saying, "Say further to the people of Israel, any of the people of Israel or of the aliens who reside in Israel who give any of their offspring to Molech shall be put to death. The people of the land shall stone them to death. I myself will set my face against them and will cut them off from the people, because they have given of their offspring to Moloch, defiling my sanctuary and profaning my holy name. And if the people of the land should ever close their eyes to them, when they give of their offspring to Moloch, and do not put them to death, I myself will set my face against them and against their family, and will cut them off from among their people, them and all who follow them in prostituting themselves to Moloch. If any turn to mediums and wizards, prostituting themselves to them, I will set my face against them and will cut them off from the people. Consecrate yourselves, therefore, and be holy, for I am the Lord your God. Keep my statutes and observe them. I am the Lord, I sanctify you. All who curse father or mother shall be put to death. Having cursed father or mother, their blood is upon them. If a man commits adultery with the wife of his neighbor, both the adulterer and the adulteress shall be put to death. The man who lies with his father's wife has uncovered his father's nakedness. Both of them shall be put to death. Their blood is upon them. If a man lies with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall be put to death. They have committed perversion. Their blood is upon them. So this is just restating what we previously read. But now he has upped the ante, and now they must be put to death, which is fine. Whatever. If a man lies with a male as with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall be put to death. Their blood is upon them. If a man takes a wife and her mother also, it is depravity. They shall be burned to death, both he and they, that there may be no depravity among you. If a man has sexual relations with an animal, he shall be put to death, and you shall kill the animal. Oh, come on. Leave the animal alone. If a woman approaches any animal and has sexual relations with it, you shall kill the woman and the animal. They shall be put to death. Their blood is upon them. So repetition is key in earlier, forms of writing, because a lot of people couldn't write. So the repetition allowed it to cement itself into people's heads. So that's why we have as much repetition as we currently experience. If a man takes his sister, a daughter of his father or a daughter of his mother, and sees her nakedness, and she sees his nakedness, it is a disgrace, and they shall be cut off in the sight of their people. cut off in the sight of their people. So that's not death, or is it? He has uncovered his sister's nakedness. He shall be subject to punishment. Gradations, people. If a man lies with a woman having her sickness and uncovers her nakedness, oh my God, Donald Jebediah Trump, you're like out of her wherever. You're menstrual, you and Old Testament God, Jesus Christ. If a man lies with a woman having her sickness and uncovers her nakedness, he has laid bare her flow, and she has laid bare her flow of blood. Both of them shall be cut off from their people. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister or of your father's sister, for that is to lay bare one's own flesh. They shall be subject to punishment. If a man lies with his uncle's wife, he has uncovered his uncle's nakedness. They shall be subject to punishment. They shall die childless. There's your punishment. Childless. If a man takes his brother's wife, it is impurity. He has uncovered his brother's nakedness. They shall be childless. You shall keep all my statutes and all my ordinances and observe them, so that the land to which I bring you to settle in may not vomit you out. You shall not follow the practices of the nation that I am driving out before you. Because they did all these things, I abhorred them. But I have said to you, you shall inherit their land, and I will give it to you to possess, a land flowing with milk and honey. I am, which you should not use as lubrication while laying with your brother's, sister's, mother's, uncle, because that is an abomination, and you will die childless and probably be really sticky. You shall therefore make a distinction between the clean animal and the unclean, and between the unclean bird and the clean. You shall not bring abomination upon yourselves by animal or by bird or by anything with which the ground teems, which I have set apart for you to hold unclean. You shall be holy to me, for the Lord, I the Lord am holy, and I have separated you from other people to be mine. A man or a woman who is a medium or a wizard shall be put to death. They shall be stoned to death. Their blood is upon them. Am I a medium? Is YouTube a medium? How do we stone YouTube to death? So again, like lots of words, and about 7 of them pertained to the man lying with the man. If a man lies with the male as with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. So just don't lie differently, because it is different. It is different. Anyways. That is all the Bible I'm going to read today. What have we learned? I will still accept, where are we at here? I will accept your calls. Because I need to give out prizes. I need to give out prizes for, even though that is potentially a spiritual abomination, or I need to be more like a wizard. Yeah, but this notion of wizards or mediums or false idols or Moloch, that all connects back to what we read a while ago in the New Testament, which is just this need for the magic that the Lord is capable of to be seen as sullied by the inferior magic of mediums and wizards who do not have the same spiritual clout behind them from the Lord. I am the Lord. Lord, Lord, Lord. But I think perhaps because you can negotiate with God, apparently, or if you're Abraham, so maybe I could negotiate with the Old Testament God. Maybe we can negotiate with Donald Trump. I don't know. Yeah, we should read the art of the Bible. So I'm going to propose, since various things involve being killed, and then some of these abominations involve being cast out from the community and then some of them involve barrenness. Now, will you be childless only with that person that you sexually engaged, which was a defilement? Like, if you then go and have sex with somebody else who's not related, like, does your barrenness persist, or is it only for that one instance? And in which case, there is very little in the Bible in this pertaining to one night stands and flings and biblical friends with benefits. So I'm curious, if we were to infer based on the laws as they have been set out, because we now live, forget homosexuality and transgenderism and all that stuff. Like, our heteronormative experience is substantially more, I don't want to say defiled, because I think that word's unnecessarily punitive, but like, we are post-birth control pill or whatever, we no longer link the sexual experience with procreation. So it's like we have a whole different set of things that determine our interactions, and the Bible barely touches on any of them because the Bible didn't predict that very well. But I think I would like to negotiate with God that the wizards and mediums be perhaps not stoned to death. Like, they could be better allies than enemies, is all I'm saying. If I am indeed possibly training to be a wizard. And maybe there's the thing, like, conservative Christians, blah, blah, blah. Like, a lot of them don't like Harry Potter because they see its position towards wizardry as being contrary to what the Lord, I am the Lord, Lord, said about wizards and mediums. And so, and I think there's like Harry Potter parks. There's literally like Sodoms and Gomorrahs of wizardry, where everyone goes to excitedly pretend that they are wizards. And like, I don't know, like, it doesn't say what happens if you pretend you're a wizard, but like, if you're hanging out with wizards, you're probably like not in God's favor. You have committed an abomination and you're going to be stoned to death. So it's like, this God is an angry one. This God is an angry one, and we have to wonder whether we have any milk and honey nearby, or if we are, just twiddling our thumbs, uncovering the nakedness of our fathers, mothers, uncles, brothers, sister, and lying with them as if they were a woman but they're a man, and just awaiting the fire and brimstone and sulfur and punishment that is to come for our iniquity. I don't know. Or maybe that's a different set of rules for a very different type and set of people, and we don't need to worry about them or really reference them at all with regard to the present. We can read them and provide context that at some point this was meaningful, but it doesn't mean that it is now, and it doesn't mean that it dictates that any person should use a Bible verse against any other person. I mean, that makes you almost like a medium. Don't act as a medium to the Bible, for you shall be stoned to death, just like the wizards. We're all really defiled. I think that's the point. But we were born, I don't know, this whole babies are born, a pure baby born. No, born defiled. Everything is born defiled with the same amount of wickedness in its heart as the parents who birthed it, as the God who gave life to these people. And every now and then, either natural circumstances caused, like, sure, maybe God rained down fire and brimstone on Sodom and Gomorrah, or maybe it was like a natural thing, maybe like a volcano exploded, but it gave the people writing the Bible the justification to ascribe it as it was decided by God, because, I don't know who talks to God. Like, apparently these people are having like two-way conversations with God, and maybe like the religious people who have mega churches also think that they're having two-way conversations with God. But I'm a little bit incredulous, because that then makes you a medium. Again, you can't be a medium. You will be stoned to death. We just make up. Religion can religion can commandeer any naturally occurring circumstance and then justify it in the name of God if the powerful choose to want to write it in the way that they did in this Bible, and then have other people agree with it, as they did throughout history with this Bible in its various forms and permutations and languages and manipulations. So that's decisions made by people. So, and if you today have made a decision as a person to go to a pride parade and to be proud either of your decision to be whatever you want to be with your body, regardless of the way in which it was perhaps supposed to be or exist or anything. Decisions made by people for themselves, selfishly, drive the Bible. You might as well do the same. You might as well do as the people who wrote the Bible do, and do whatever the fuck you want. And recognize that a lot of those rules, well, first of all, the rules aren't really written for you unless you're Jewish and like from thousands of years ago. But that there is, forget the punishment. There is a logic. There break down the logic as to why you might want to abide by those rules, but don't necessarily consider them to be like rules that you have to follow, otherwise everything falls apart, because defilement is inherent to the human experience. And there is no distinction between human and animal. That was a mistake. So, you know what? Go fucking lie with an animal. You are an animal. Who cares? Ask consent. That's the problem. You can't really get consent from an animal. Well, I don't know. Like, spend a lot of time with them. Learn their language. Oh, what am I saying? Don't lie with an animal. Yeah, like, where's the pride parade for people who like to lie with their animals? Where's the taboo? Like, where's the I practice incest with my daughter because I believe I'm creating a lineage of fantastic people because, I had this dream and God told me that I am right within his eyes, so we might as well keep it in the family. Like, where's that parade? And can the police march in it? And everybody's waving flags and everyone's really, really happy that you are being incestuous. Like, why have we chosen to draw the line at which we get to be proud or not proud of, I guess, is my question. It seems like it's all within that same rule set. So if we have decided that those rules no longer define or describe the way in which us humans get to have our human experience, like why don't we get to have all the rest of those defilements also have their own parade? I guess I wonder. Like, All right. What is a good... I don't want to get too much of a copyright, though. What is this nonsense? Like, I would play... No, don't play that song. Like, I would play It's Raining Men, because that's sort of like a Sodom and Gomorrah. That's like taking Sodom and Gomorrah back. Like, God will destroy Sodom by raining down gay men onto it, and the party just got crazier. That like, he's got the angels in his house, and they're like, give us them. we want them. That's pretty intense. That's an intense. That's an intense pornographic scene to be written. Like the angels would acquiesce, obviously. Okay, I forget if this is angry at me in terms of copyright, but we'll just sort of go with it. I have wrecked this speaker. Don't let anybody tell you what you can or cannot be proud of or proud to be. And I guess if you're feeling particularly lonely and disaffected, you could try to organize a march just to see if there's anybody else who's as perverse, defiled, abominatory as you are, I guess. But you know, but a march isn't necessary. A march is very political. It involves a lot of like rules having been codified about who is and who isn't allowed to march, and who is and who isn't a member of the community. If you are, like I am, innately defiled and perverse, like, don't worry. There's still a way, there's still a medium to get your message out to the world without needing to close and block off streets. And the medium itself is an abomination, but you know, be the freak that you are. Be the freak that you are. Don't be the freak that anybody else expects to be. And, you know, figure out which of the laws of Leviticus that you're gonna follow, and the laws that you're not. But have made a distinct decision with regard to those laws. Like, if everyone spent their lives not breaking the laws of God, the laws of the civil society, the laws of the police, the laws of blah blah blah, you would barely move. So it's less about not breaking the law, but it's more about knowing, being cautious with regard to breaking the law and feeling the strength and conviction in yourself within yourself that there's a heaven for your abomination.